Welcome to Bradshaw's Grief Resource Center series. I'm Tony Del Percio, Director of the Grief Resource Center. Today's topic is coping with the holidays. Holidays which are supposed to be a joyous and wonderful time of the year can be, for many who have experienced the death, a very difficult and painful time because we are vividly reminded of the death, the empty chair, the one less gift to buy, the person who is no longer there who might have been the one who kept everything together. It makes it even extremely more painful and difficult given the pandemic that is going on, where maybe even more so, families may not even be able to be together, which may create even more loneliness and isolation. No matter how busy we are, no matter how much we try to avoid a death, holidays bring the death and the loss front and center. So it is important that we find some healthy ways to cope and adjust during this holiday season. So I'm just going to give a few helpful hints on getting through the holidays. First of all, talk with your family. Communication during the holidays are essential. You need to remember that not only is the primary grieving, but everyone in the family is grieving. I've often said that a family is like a mobile, all integral parts. And when a person dies, that mobile shifts. So everyone in the family is affected. For example, if someone says, but it was my husband that died, a child can turn around and say, but it was my father that died. So never minimize one relationship over the other. So communicate with the family. Talk with the family about what are some ideas, what are some things that they might want to do, what is going to be reasonably to do. Communication is essential. Make changes. We cannot duplicate things the way they were. If we try, we're only going to get more upset, and it's only going to be more frustrating. Be willing to make changes. Do things differently. Yes, you can keep some of the old traditions, but it's also time to incorporate some new traditions. Doing something maybe totally different, starting a new tradition that maybe the grandkids will eventually carry on in the next generation. You don't need to do everything the same because it's not going to be the same. Be gentle with yourself. Don't be afraid to delegate things. Don't be afraid to ask for help or share the duties. You don't have to do everything this year. You may not have the energy or the ambition to do it all. So delegate. Ask people in the family to help. And if they're not willing to help out, then that's one less food item you're going to have on the table. But it's not your responsibility to do everything or to please everyone. Keep things simple. You don't have to be extravagant this year. Keep things to a minimum if you want. Keep things simple. For Christmas, shop early. But many people are afraid to go out and do shopping, which I understand. So I'm sure many, especially the grandkids, like cash. So go to the bank and get those little envelopes or buy some cards. And maybe this year, write a message in the card. Not just put love, grandma or mom or dad, but write a special message in the card. Letting those people know how important and how meaningful they are in your life. And then place the money in there. Most people prefer cash than gifts. This way you don't put yourself at risk and you don't have to deal with the hustle and bustle of what's going on. Donate to a charity. Sometimes I've said to families, figure out how much money you might spend on the person who has died. Take that money and donate it to a family in need, to a charity in memory of the person who has died. It's often said that when we can make someone else's holiday a little bit brighter out of our own pain, gives us a sense of satisfaction that I've done something to make a difference in someone else's life. In other words, it takes me out of my own pain to help someone else out in need. Or donate toys for Tots, or the Union Gospel Mission, or whatever organization of your choice. Donate a plant to the church if they are accepting plants. Poinsettia plants in memory of your loved one. If your loved one is buried at a cemetery, go decorate the grave. Bring a Christmas tree or a wreath, something to acknowledge. And speaking of decorating, for some right now it may feel like I don't want to decorate. I don't want to put up Christmas decorations. I don't want to do anything. Yet we still must do at least something, because right now this is the darkest and gloomiest time of the year. One reason centuries ago we brought lights and greenery into the house was to brighten those darkest days, to give us hope, because soon, December 21st, is the darkest day, the winter solstice. And the next day, little by little, we will begin to have daylight. So bring some light into the house, symbolizing new hope. Bring in greens. Greens are evergreens, ever life. Decorate at least something, especially if you may end up having some of the grandkids or other people over, having something there. And if for nobody else, at least for yourself, having something there. Be grateful. Focus on what gifts you had. Not what you've lost, but what you've had. And what that relationship was. And what they gave you. Focusing on the grateful. And maybe at dinner, people can write little slips of paper on what they're grateful for of that life. And then after dinner, share. One thing that oftentimes I tell people to do is to take a candle, and if your loved one had a favorite color, buy a column candle in that color, and make a little memorial wreath where you put some little trinkets around that symbolize that person's life. If they love fishing, maybe a little bauble. If they, were into mechanics, maybe a little wrench or whatever it might be, but little things that symbolized. And light the candle in memory. Because oftentimes we may not want to talk about the person. We may not want to bring up their name because it may upset. But yet everyone knows that there's a void. That candle represents them, their spirit. What most people have said, it wasn't so much about lighting the candle, it was about who was going to blow the candle out. A lady one time gave me a wonderful idea about a person's Christmas stocking. She pulled out her husband's stocking, and it's like, what do I do with this? And what she ended up doing is she made ornaments out of the stocking. She decorated the stocking, the little ornaments, and she gave each child a piece of the stocking as a way to remember their dad. What an awesome idea. Instead of being reminded of that emptiness, she made ornaments for each child to be able to remember their loved one. Attitude. Attitude is what is going to make or break. If you go into this holiday season and say this is going to be the worst holiday, it will be the worst holiday. There's an old saying that nothing in life has any meaning to it except the meaning I choose to give. What meaning will you choose to give this holiday season? Attitude is important. It's 10% of what happens, 90% how I react to it. What will I say? What will I do? Focus on the gifts that your loved one gave you this holiday season. Be grateful for those lives. None of us knows what tomorrow is going to bring. None of us knows what next Christmas or holidays will give us. Let's focus this year, this present, where we are today, and be grateful. Be gentle with yourself. Don't place a lot of expectations. Read a good book. Take a warm bath. Go for a walk. Read a good book. Meditate. Keep a journal. But if nothing else, be gentle and be patient. You do not need to rush. Just take your time, and you will find ways to get through this holiday season.